fabulous fiber and fabric friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen and I am your host. Today is Thursday, October 15th. I have been trying to record for a week and it has just been, my husband wasn't feeling well and he's fine now, everything's fine. And it's been, oh my God, you guys, it has been so hot here, like 100. Yesterday I went to lunch with a few girlfriends and we sat outside and it was about 100 degrees out, and even though it's in the shade and there was very little breeze, and I had my fan and oh my God, it was just, you know, I'm sweating down my front and my back and it was just not play. It was great to see the girls, but sitting outside in the beastly heat, I am just not a hot weather person. I'm good up until about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure, what is that, maybe 20 Celsius, I'm not sure. And after that, I'm just roasting to death. You'd think I was in menopause 24/7 since I was 8 years old. So, oh, and let me share a little ew, David, Schitt's Creek. But ew, last night, I'm in my studio, my craft room here, knitting. My husband says, oh my God, just outside in the hallway, my husband stops and says, oh my God, look at this huge spider. And I look over and it was big. It wasn't just a teeny little like daddy long leg. It was a spider with like little furry legs. And I said, well, step on it, which I don't really want to kill the spiders, but it was so big and freaking me out. So he steps on it and all the babies go running, like hundreds of them. Probably not hundreds, but dozens. And he says, oh my God, the babies are running. And I said, I freaked out and it was just so, it was so gross. I'm panicking. And he said, my God, they came out of her belly. And then we weren't sure. And then we realized, oh, well, maybe they hatched and they were just sitting on her body waiting for whatever. So after we cleaned up the dead spider mess, I looked and apparently, which many of you may know already, mother spiders do carry their little spiderlings on their abdomen until the spiderlings are ready to go off and find food on their own. So there you go. I learned something new. I learned the word spiderling, and that's what they do. They hang out in mommy's abdomen until they want to, swoop the coop. That was just weird. And I'm cleaning up the mess and little baby spiders are scurrying about and oh my God. And the dogs are trying to get in there like, what are we looking at? Is it food? Oh my goodness gracious. Crazy pants, huh? So, I would have knitwear on today, but again, it is hotter than blazes and I have studio lights on and it's just, even though I have the AC on, once my body heats up, it takes me a long time to cool down. And I'm just too hot to wear any of my knitwear. And I do have some beautiful things to show you. So for now, for today, you will have to put up with Justine. I will try to shoot pictures after I do this video and insert footage and do it that way. And then maybe if it cools off this evening, I'll try to get some video of me in the garments. We'll see if that happens. Otherwise, it's going to be photo show and tell. So, speaking of Schitt's Creek, you guys, my husband and I just started watching that like a couple of weeks ago. I know it's been so popular. And we tried watching it a year or two ago and couldn't get into it. So we thought, well, God, it's gotten so many Emmy nominations. We really should check it out. So we did. And so we finally got into it. It took a while. It took a while. And though I like it, I'm still surprised at the Emmy nominations. Did they win any Emmys or was it just nominations? I mean, it's good, it's funny, but it's not that fun. I mean, there are other series that I find more humorous. Or maybe I'm just not in the mood. Who knows what it is? But I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't crazy for it. And now I'm on season 6. I just have the last season to go. And I will watch that. And speaking of, oh my God, I'm going off on a tangent here, you guys. Speaking of TV shows, Netflix, there is Emily in Paris. I posted something last week about some beautiful sweaters, which actually Dan Levy, his character in Schitt's Creek also wears really cool shirts and sweaters. But in Emily in Paris, you have this, the show, here's my opinion. The show is cute but dumb. You've got this beautiful Lily Collins, who is actually Phil Collins' daughter. She's very cute and bubbly and all of that. I won't go over my pros and cons. I do have some cons about the series itself. I did power watch it. But I love fashion, so a lot of the storyline is pretty dumb and dopey and silly. But, you know, it's mindless. It was fun. I just cruised in bed all day, you know, just watching my TV, clicking through the episodes. But the fashion, just like Sex and the City, and I guess Gossip Girls, which I never watched. Now I'm going to have to tune. You know, I went online to look, like, what's this Gossip Girls? I've heard of it. But then when I looked, I thought, this doesn't remind me of Sex and the City, even though I've heard it's sort of, you know, because of the fashion and all that. I guess I'll have to try again. But I do love fashion. And Sex and the City, too. In a way, that was a lot of silly dumbness. But I loved all the New York scenes, and I love all the fashion. And that's, for me, what sucks me in. So Emily in Paris, same thing. Oh, and if you guys aren't familiar with the elderly millennial Samantha at Bobble Clubhouse, she and I forget the name of the designer she had on, they talked about Emily in Paris. So if you don't follow Samantha at the Bobble Clubhouse on Instagram, check her out, because she has, I think they did a live, so maybe it's still in her stories or something, or on her feed, when they talk about Emily in Paris. And it was a lot of fun just to listen to them chatter about it, and the fashion and the really cool things. So if you love fashion and don't mind sitting through kind of silly stories, then check out Emily in Paris on Netflix for the really cool fashion. And there are some really groovy sweater ideas. So I have some ideas percolating in my brain about something I might be able to create inspired by that. Stay tuned. So I have, for today, we have knitting, no crochet, because I haven't done my mosaic crochet. I've been distracted. I haven't worked on that in about 6 or 8 weeks. So I have knitting. I'm looking around my room. I have several things to show you. I have a test knit that I did, and I'm going to show you pictures for that, definitely, because I didn't gauge swatch, and so I just knit according to the instructions and really didn't pay attention to my gauge, which was really dumb because it's too tight on me. It's like a size too small, and I didn't want to tear it out because and it's a beautiful, beautiful garment, very sexy, flirty neckline, and I should have gauge swatch, because now I'm bummed that I'm unable to wear it. So, you know, who knows, maybe I'll frog back and redo it, because it's a lovely pattern. So this is by Beth MacDonald Stone. I will put her information below here, and I believe she's calling it the Cable Road Raglan, or Cabled Road Raglan. Again, I'll put that information here. And it is as I said, this is a test knit. It's worked top down. You start flat and then you work in the round. And I did mine short sleeve only because I would have knit longer sleeves had I not messed up my gauge for the, you know. It doesn't fit so badly once I get down to the bodice, but up here I made a mockery of it. You guys, that's what you get when you don't gauge swatch. But the pattern is very pretty. It's very easy to follow, and it's very cute and sexy. So here, I used threadhead yarns. It's a fingering weight yarn, and this is called Prom Queen, this colorway. And here is the back. Now you can wear this lovely bow to the front or the back, and I actually did an I-cord. The pattern calls for something else, but I read through the pattern, and I would read through it as I was going, but then I read something and I finished something, and then I went back to the neckline, and didn't remember correctly, so I did something wrong. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do an I-cord. But the other way of doing it is really cool. So if you guys get this pattern, note that the I-cord was just my little, because I made a mistake on something, so I did the I-cord. But there's another really cool way to make the ties that Beth has designed. So do check it out. What else can I say? You know, it's a nice, simple, easy pattern to follow. It's kind of a flary, you know, it's lightweight and drapey. But do check out Beth's patterns. She actually has quite a few patterns. And I've tested it for her before, and there's another beautiful raglan with lace work. So go check out her patterns. Really fun. Moving along. You guys, I have another finished object. You guys know I had issues with the yarn that bled all over my last color work Ladyfingers sweater. So I contacted the yarn company MacDonald, and they were so fabulous to work with. I mean, they made good, they took care of me. So when you guys, if you have, and again, it depends on an issue you have with a yarn, always reach out to, and I'm sure you guys do, but always reach out to the dyers, the designers, because sometimes, accidents happen in the dyeing process, and we don't know for sure, and by we I mean the yarn company, MacDonald, we think that maybe in the final processing of the dyeing, or I didn't understand because I'm not a dyer. So whatever happened perhaps wasn't done at 100%. Maybe there was, who knows what happened. Anyway, they were fabulous. And they replaced the yarn. And I was so impressed by that customer service that I just have to say thank you so much, MacDonald. So, while I was waiting for the new yarn to arrive, I already knew because I had ordered a lot of the MacDonald DK, it's called Farm Twist, and I had ordered quite a bit of it because I wasn't sure which color combinations I was going to put together. So when I started with the black and then had the other colorways, in 3 other colorways in there, and that one didn't turn out, it fit, it bled and all of that, I started working on another one with my teal colors. I guess they're sort of teal, my teals and blues. And I thought, I'm just going to work on that one until the other yarn comes, because I knew I wanted to make a second version anyway. So I did. And you guys have seen some of this on Instagram. So here is the finished object. And you guys, this one, look at this. Isn't that color? I think this color is called Pinata, if I remember correctly. And it's almost all the jewel tones remind me of a sort of walk like an Egyptian, like you have an Egyptian Cleopatra collar on. You guys, I should throw this on. I should throw it on and show you. I'll have to. Okay. For you guys. Oh God, it's not going to go over my little bunny bun here. Oh, I don't think it's going to go over my hair clip and everything. Okay, well, nix that. I'll try later and insert some pictures or do it at the end. Let's just say I'm going to put an arm through. Isn't that so fabulous? So the pattern calls for short sleeves, and like my first version, I like long sleeves, but I finished this one a little differently. The pattern is worked top down, and instead, I forget what the actual pattern calls for the short sleeves, but I decided to, maybe it does have ribbing. Anyway, I did a 3x3. It might be a 2x2 ribbing, So I did a 3x3 ribbing here, and then I worked it out, and it has this sort of interesting texture, if you can see. It almost is three-dimensional because I carried, so I did where the color work ended here, I did my pearls here, right, for the ribbing. And then those were knit stitches to continue that line. And somehow it's almost three-dimensional. I don't know that you can really tell in the video, but that's pretty cool. That is cool. So I love these sleeves. Now I'm going to tell you guys some of my other modifications that I always do. When I'm working any top down, bottom up, in pieces, when it comes to necklines, I stagger my necklines. So let's say a pattern calls for using a number 6 to cast on your neckline, and you work the neckline and then you'll change to a 7 or 8 needle. Okay, this is just an example. So what I will do is I might cast on with a number 4. I will work 2 rows in whatever your patterning is, 1x1 rib, twisted rib, 2x2 rib, whatever it is. I will work maybe 2 rows in that size 4 needle. Then I will change to a number 5 needle. And I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to do this because you're changing needles every couple rounds. But then I will go up to a number 5 needle and I will work a couple rounds in the number 5. Then I will go up to the number 6 needle, which is in our pretend pattern directions, is the needle size we want to start with, number 6. So I've gone from 4, 5 to 6. So that way my neckline will come, right? It'll angle, so it's a little narrower close to my neckline, and then it, you know, it graduates out so that it kind of follows the slope of your décolletage, your neckline, and your this area. So I do that with all my sweaters, and it seems to really help. Another thing that and the reason I started doing that is that I noticed sometimes, frequently for me, and I don't, maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, and especially with top-down sweaters, you get kind of this funnel neck there, and then you drop into, and I really thought, well, gosh, our bodies aren't that funnel, and that there's something about the shape that made, it was a little weird to me. So you can see here, right, it's a more graduated, right, from your neckline to where you, to follow where your shoulder, right? So it's a little more gradual instead of something like that. So that's something I do. And this particular pattern, I didn't like how the short rows were. They were kind of odd. They were just like a few and a few and then a few more and a few, which would only raise up the very center of the back. And I thought, well, that's odd. Why isn't it raising it all the way across the back? And again, maybe I misunderstood, but the first version I made of this, I did it as the pattern instructed, and I thought, oh, I don't like how that's looking, so I tore back and redid it. So I will tend to, and this is, so my center back is my beginning and end of round. I will take my short rows, usually I only do 3 sets, so you go the knit side, the purl side, the knit side, the purl side. So in 3 sets, I mean like you're doing 1 knit side, 1 purl side, that's 1 set, 1 knit side, 1 purl side, 2 sets, okay? So I will make sure that with each set that I do, that my final set comes almost over my shoulder to give you that little extra space. So from shoulder to shoulder, it's just slightly wider, and it raises up the neck, but it raises up that whole area just slightly. And I find for me that fits my body much better. So that's one thing I do. My other issue, and I've talked with friends about this, is with yoked sweaters. They don't always fit me. I don't know if it's because I'm small, or or maybe I'm too bony here, which it would be nice if I had more flesh up here, but I'm so bony. I don't know what the problem is, but yoke sweaters, I don't feel they always fit me properly. Part of it might be maybe I'm not knitting the correct size. I also don't like them too oversized because I am short-ish, you know, and I don't want the sweater overpowering me. So on this version, for the colorwork section, I actually eliminated a row from each repeat section of the colorwork, which means my yoke, instead of sometimes, right, your yoke and your sleeve separation is way down here and you've got this big space here. I don't like that for me. I don't like how that fits on me. So I shortened all that. So my separation, my sleeve separation came like right under my armpits. And I would work like, I tried it on, I go, okay, you know, this is superwash yarn, I'm going to wash it, it might grow ½ an inch. So I know that's going to be comfortable around my underarms instead of hanging way down here. So I shortened that. So that worked. So now I know, I think on future yoked sweater, colorwork sweaters, I will have to be more aware of where I could and can eliminate a couple of rows within the yoke without disturbing the patterning, if it's possible, so that I can bring the yoke up so that I'm not dividing for the sleeves at maybe 10 inches, because I really, for me, from here to here is only about 7 inches. So I only need a 7-inch depth, maybe 7.5. That's where I want my sleeve separation to happen. And yoke sweaters I've knit in the past are at 9 inches, and that's way too long for me. I'm probably being way too hypercritical of the construction. But if there's any little tweaky thing that I can do to make the garment fit more bespoke, if you can say bespoke for non-hand sewn garments, I want it to fit more tailored. And I guess in a top-down sweater, that's what I'm trying to achieve. And it's not perfect, but I'm finding little ways of tweaking the knitting, working short rows, things like that, to help me eliminate some of the issues that make me a little crazy. And I'm sure some of you are saying, oh my God, you are way too anal about your knitting, and I am. Sometimes, it depends. But yes, I'm a little anal about my knitting, and you're probably just like shaking your head and rolling your eyes, go ahead, and then moving on, fast forwarding to the next part. So, something I think is really cool about this pinata yarn, it's the way, and I don't alternate yarn, skeins. First of all, it's color work, and I think it would just be a pain in the backside to do that. But I thought it was really cool how on one sleeve, it almost has like little lightning strikes, the way the yellow yarn played out in the colorwork section. And here you've got, it's much bolder, the purple sort of stayed together, the hot pink stayed together, the purple, the green. And I just thought that was kind of cool. And also because then it's asymmetric. The sleeves are, the cuffs, it's almost like bracelets, my little cuff bracelets at my sleeves. They're not perfectly identical. And I think that's kind of cool too. So I really am happy. I'm happy with the colors I chose. I forget what these two colors are. It's all on my Ravelry page. And, and I should mention, again, another technique that I use, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, when doing in the round garments, I guess even garments in pieces, although I do it slightly differently for in pieces. So in the round garments, what I do, so that quite often when you knit something in the round and you put it on, the back wants to ride up a little higher, right? You guys know I've talked about this a million times. So again, I did on this sweater, same thing. I include a few short rows only on the back portion of the garment. I will work from, because I put I use the purl stitch to make faux seams on all of my knit in the round garments. So I will do my short rows. I will go right up to that center side seam. So the faux purl seam, the faux seam, the purl stitch faux seam. I will work up to that and go to the other one, and so I will do 2 sets, so 4 times, right? I'll go the knit side, the purl side, the knit side, the purl side, short rows, German short rows, and then I'll work in the round and eliminate my German short rows as I come to them. That way, your garment will be even, and when you turn it to the side and you have it on, and I will include pictures, the back rides, it's all straight from the front to the back, it's all even. The back does not sit up slightly higher than the front. Again, I've talked about this way too many times, probably more than you guys want to hear about, but for anyone that's new, and speaking of which, thank you so much to all my returning subscribers, and thank you to my new subscribers. So anyone who's new here, and doesn't want to go back to old videos, that is how I deal with that issue. And what else? I love this yarn. This yarn it's almost, now that I'm done and because it's color work, I think DK might become, aside from some fingering and fingering held with mohair, I think DK is probably like my new, instead of using worsted weight, I would use DK for worsted weight projects and use the DK weight and then just make adjustments to the pattern, like cast on and sizing. Because I think for me, and living in California, Southern California, I think DK weight is plenty heavy enough for our winters. I mean, our winters, it might be 60 degrees in winter, but sometimes it's, that can be a chilly 60 where you can wear a sweater. You don't need a coat or anything, but you could wear a sweater. So I think for me, this DK, and I love, love, love all the colors. There's a huge range of colors in this Madeline Tosh Farm Twist DK yarn. Works in progress. Progress. Tomato. I love mohair, and I'm finding now that I also love Surrey alpaca. And I started a garment last year using Skein Cocaine, her Surrey alpaca, which I just love. And I didn't gauge swatch. I was using a pattern as a guide, but I wasn't really following the pattern. And again, another mockery. I made a mockery of the garment, but I wanted to use that Surrey alpaca. And I didn't have enough to make a big project, so I decided I was going to do a scarf with fall coming, and I keep hoping that maybe I'll get to go to New York this winter. Maybe Vogue Knitting Live in New York will happen in January of 2021. I keep hoping. So I decided to, excuse me, I frogged back the project I was doing with Skein Cocaine, Surrey alpaca, and decided to make a zigzag scarf. Now all I did was I'm just doing a garter stitch zigzag, a garter zigzag stitch, and I decided again, because I don't think I'm going to have, I'm not sure that I will have enough of the Surrey alpaca to make a super long scarf. So I decided to break it up with mohair. So what I'm doing is I am using a non-superwash sport weight yarn, which in this case is dark blue. I don't remember the colorway. It's a dark blue colorway, or a deep blue, and I'm using the Surrey alpaca because it sort of, the blue in the Surrey alpaca by Skein Cocaine matches the blue of the non-superwash yarn. And then here, when I do mohair, I'm doubling up. I'm taking leftover scraps I have from other projects, and I have enough that I can incorporate. I double the mohair, so I'm going to have a lot of ends to weave in. So I double the mohair and then just work that in. Here, I wasn't so happy. I should have gone, it's so light, but oh well. I'm just kind of playing with it. I sort of wish this color turned out almost too dark that it's not very distinguishable, but oh well, I'm gonna leave it in. So I'm just using scraps, and I knit the Surrey alpaca, the dark section, until whenever, and then I switch whenever. I'm going to keep my mohair sections, and again, I'm just doubling up 2 strands of mohair. So it is the weight of that fabric is slightly thinner than the weight of this portion. So I think once it's all washed, I think that will give it a nice flow to it, and it adds different dimension because it is a little thinner of fabric than this portion. So that's what I'm doing, and I think next I'm going to work a couple more rows of the dark, and then I'm going to switch to maybe a bright yellow. So that is also, it's so great, you know, I'm just staring at all this mohair leftovers that I have, and it's not enough to work into a sweater. I mean, I guess you could, probably, you could add little embellishments to sleeves or collars, but it's not enough to work into a, you know, if you're working a whole garment with it. So I'm making use of those in scarves. So that is where I'm at with that. I'm not following a pattern, it's just the zigzag stitch. And you cast on, I think it's in multiples of 12 or something. And you put increases. Where do you increase? I forgot. How does that go? You knit 2 together, and then when you get to the end, you do a knit front and back, and then you start with your next section of 12. So that is that. I really wanted to do the ziggy, but oh my gosh, that would be, you're switching yarns even more frequently than I am here. And I just don't have the patience for that right now. I love the look of that. You use like Advent minis, and it's so beautiful. But I just weaving in those ends, I'm just not sure I'm up for that. This is going to be enough. Although because a lot of my ends are mohair, they're easier to weave in. They sort of stay put, and I don't have to worry about them as much. So that is a work in progress. The next work in progress. Here is Asylum Fibers. I'm using a fingering weight and a mohair. That is the Black Dahlia. I bought these, gosh, when did I buy these? Quite a while ago. Well, you guys know how it is. You have all this yarn, and who knows when you're going to use it. You just buy it because it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So I've loved this Black Dahlia, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to make, and I thought about different, tops and sweaters. I'm agonizing, and then I realized I just want something I want to show off this yarn by itself. I don't want anything fancy. I don't want to do color work. I just think that this color is so beautiful that I just want the yarn to speak for itself, to shine through. So I think that is why I am making the classic sweater. Well, that's not true. I lie. I am starting, or it's a jumping off point. Melissa from Espace Tricot just released another sweater pattern called the Classic. It is a beautiful, her classic style. I think it's a Raglan, and that's what attracted me. I mean, I love all her patterns. They're this simple elegance, very pretty. And I thought, oh, I'm going to make this sweater. But somehow when I cast on, all of a sudden my hands were doing their own thing. I wasn't following the pattern. I said, no, I'm going to do, I'm not going to do the increases that are in the pattern. I'm too lazy, frankly. I'm going to just yarn over increases. It'll do a nice little detail for the Raglan, because frankly, I haven't done that kind of, I know it's so simple, but most Raglan patterns have you do, knit front and back, or do some, a lifted, that bar between the stitches, lift the stitch and make one right, make one left. So I've always been doing that, and I decided I'm going to go super simple on myself and just do a nice basic classic stockinette sweater, top down Raglan, and I don't know what's happening. My brain and my hands are just, they've got a mind of their own. Yeah, my brain is a mind of its own. My hands have a mind of their own, and I'm just going to town on this sweater that is housed in this project bag, which is by Dye Lot Studios, Diane. She's a dyer, yarn dyer, but she also makes project bags. And I happen to love this style of bucket bag. Now I have to admit, you guys, I'm not a connoisseur of project bags because I've only somewhat recently in the past year started purchasing project bags. So now I came across these bags. I met Diane. We were at an event at the Altered Stitch here in the Los Angeles area, and Crochet Luna and we all met there. And so I saw Diane's yarn, and I was there to support her and buy yarn. And then I saw these project bags, which I didn't know going there that she made project bags. Now I do. And so I have 3 of her bags, and I have 1 more that will be coming soon. So check out Dye Lot Studios, check out her yarn, check out her project bags. And I really love this style of project bag. And she has a lot of different fabrics here. They stay firm, and I think you can wash these. Actually, I've been meaning to ask her because my oldest, this one, because of the dye, the fiber, the yarn fuzz gets stuck in the bags, and I guess I could vacuum it out. But I wondered if I can wash them. They're not dirty. I guess you can wash them. I'll have to ask and find out. Anyway, check out Dye Lot Studios and check out her project bags because these are, I just love them. Okay, so my jumping off point is that classic cardigan by Melissa. But as I said, I don't know what happened. I just started knitting, and all of a sudden the pattern went to the wayside. And I really want to make the pattern because I like it. But for some reason, my hands were not being cooperative, and they just wanted to do something else. So far, I know it looks small, but it does fit. It's just a basic top-down raglan increase. Again, I have a very shallow here because I want it to fit snug under the arm. So I am actually doing, and I can use your guys' help, maybe a little vote. I'm going to do a very fitted bodice, and I'm thinking, I have a couple of ideas in my head. So I'm thinking it'll be very fitted bodice, and once I get to either the waist, and then I would do a peplum using only the mohair instead of right now I'm using mohair and the fingering weight held together. I would get to the waist, I would go up a couple needle sizes, maybe do a triple increase on the number of stitches, and then just knit a very flowy peplum. And I'm not sure how long I would make that. I don't know if I'd make it tunic length or shorter. I am trying to decide on that. And then for the sleeves, okay, so there's that option. Or I would just stop about high hip or long waist, maybe the high hip area, stop there and either do a ribbing or an I-cord bind off. I'm not sure. So here's for the sleeves. The sleeves will be fitted, right? We've got the raglan. It'll be a fitted sleeve, maybe just above the elbow. And there I am going to find a lace pattern and then do a lace work and kind of to bell out, because that seems to be popular now in style, where we've got big blousey sleeves and balloon sleeves or bishop sleeves. I'm thinking just, fitted and then maybe bracelet length, but do, and probably have to increase the stitches here as well, and make this, and maybe only in mohair again, not sure, and make that a big lace work, so that it'll be about 8 inches or something, 7 or 8 inches of lace work for the sleeves, right? So let me know if you guys, what you think, what you vote for, the peplum or non-peplum. And then I think for sure that's what I'm doing for the sleeves. But I'm not sure about if I want to do a peplum or non-peplum. So as I'm knitting, I'm just, you guys, I don't know what got into me. I'm just sort of knitting, and I try it on as I go, and I thought I'm just going to throw caution to the wind, and we will see what happens. I guess I wonder if that's how some designs come about, right? I think some designers have something in their mind and they go for it, and other times I've heard designers say they just start working with a yarn and all of a sudden their mind and, you know, their creativity and their hands, and they just start going. And then they, you know, they create this beautiful design. So not that mine is going to be so fabulous. It'll be fairly basic, but who knows? Maybe I will create a new design. As usual, that about wraps it up for this week. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in, for subscribing, and I will see you guys next time around on KDGECKO Knits. Bye!